Hello, good afternoon, good evening, welcome. This is Bethany. Welcome to the fourth episode of Bethline. I am I am sitting here. I have big news for you guys, for Bethline listeners. I've moved locations. I'm no longer doing the show from my kitchen nook. Today I've decided to do it from my dining room table, which is a bit sunnier. I have a view of my neighbors right now who are doing something outside with their dogs. So yes, anyway, that's the big news, is that I've moved out of the kitchen and into the living room. It's a big day in Bethline world. What's up, you guys? It's April 22nd, 2020. It's a Wednesday, just in case you forgot. I know it's pretty easy to forget what day of the week it is these days. It's also Earth Day, so happy birthday to Earth, I guess. I don't know. I guess maybe it's Earth's birthday. Grateful for the Earth. This is a weird day to be celebrating inside because I feel like Earth Day is a day where a lot of people like to go out and celebrate nature and do their thing. But it's also a really cool thing because, as we've seen sort of through a lot of news that's coming out, the world is kind of healing itself right now while we're all stuck in this quarantine. Obviously, we have a long way to go with climate change and all that stuff, but it's nice that we are starting to see progress in certain parts of the world. So that is good to know. And also, if you live in Los Angeles, you will know that at the strike of midnight on Earth Day, there was an earthquake. It was not fun. I was getting ready to go to sleep, and all of a sudden I felt like someone was shaking my bed, and then I realized it was an earthquake. And then I also realized it was Earth Day, and I was like, wow, would you look at that? Anyway, Earth Day, great day. Happy to be here on planet Earth. So I took a week off from Bethline last week. I decided that I needed a bit of a mental health week, and I just sort of gave myself a week to do nothing really. I actually did accomplish a lot. I did a lot of stuff around the house. I played guitar. I worked on some personal projects, but I just needed a little bit of a break from social media, which is why today's topic is social media, because I want to talk about sort of what can happen when you are using social media. Oh, Josie is banging a bone. Sorry, Josie wants to be on the show. What can happen when you're like using social media too much? And also sort of given the context of the world that we're living in right now, I think it is pretty easy to use social media as a tool to compare yourself. At least that was what was happening for me, is I was logging on to Instagram and Twitter and just kind of looking and seeing what other people were doing. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not doing enough. So through the help of a dear friend and also just kind of doing some of my own self-reflection, I just realized like maybe I just need to take a week off. And it was really helpful. I did go on social media a little bit, but I wasn't really posting too much, and I was trying just to engage in a different context. I wasn't promoting, I wasn't using it to do much other than just kind of like peek on my friends and see what kind of soups they're cooking. Yasi, that one is for you. So yeah, we're gonna talk social media today. That's gonna be our topic. And also, I just wanted to talk about how I watched the literal best rom-com in the entire world last week with my best friend Jessica over the phone. It's called Only You. It stars Marissa Tomei and Robert Downey Jr. If you've never seen it, it's available for free on Crackle, and it is a really just classic rom-com. They go to Italy. It's great. It's great. If you're a rom-com fan, especially 90s rom-coms, you will love it, and I highly recommend it. Let's see, what else have I been up to? Last week, I put out a cover song that I did of a Crooked Finger song called Call to Love with Jimmy Eat World, which was so cool and exciting. I just, I got to like sit in my kitchen and sing this song, and then Jim from Jimmy Eat World threw it all together, and it just was a really fun, cool thing that I got to do. And I got to wear sweatpants while doing it. What could be better than working from sweatpants? I also will have you know that today I showered in the very, very first thing in the morning. I showered, and then I put on semi-regular clothes, and I will say that it has improved my mood. So, not to shame you if you've stayed in your sweatpants all day, because believe me, I've been doing it pretty much every day this whole time. But I will say that my mood improved tenfold when I showered and got dressed and kind of just like did stuff around the house today. So, anyway, that's just my little check-in with y'all. Just figured I'd give you a little update on what the last week looked like and where I was last week and why I wasn't here. But yeah, that's just something I want to encourage you guys to do yourselves. Like, even if you don't have a radio show that you're doing weekly or whatever, if you are able to just sort of take time off for yourself to tend to yourself, it's really important, especially during a time like we're living in. It's really easy to get overwhelmed by stuff, and I think that we all deserve a break when we are able to take them. So I will now pivot into the quick cues segment of this show, where I answer little questions that I get via email. You can send your questions to me if you would like them to get answered on the show. The email address is askbethline@gmail.com. And the first question happens to be one of my favorite topics to discuss, and that is chain restaurants. The first question comes from Melissa R., and Melissa says, "What's your go-to Olive Garden order?" Well, Melissa, I would love for you to know that, first of all, when I read this question, I was so excited to answer it. The answer to this question is, so I don't eat at Olive Garden all that often anymore because I'm vegetarian and also gluten intolerant. So I don't eat pasta. I cheat on gluten every so often, but my stomach and skin usually make me pay the consequences. However, when I was partying on gluten, meat, cheese, all that stuff, my go-to Olive Garden order was, of course, the tour of Italy, because what more could you ask for than a piece of chicken parmesan, a piece of lasagna, and also a fettuccine alfredo. You get it's funny because they say that they're small portions, but they're clearly not. They're like chain size portions. So it's like three full meals essentially on one plate. But that was my jam. The tour of Italy is my jam. And then now when I go, I pretty much just get salad and soup because you can't go wrong. And they're both vegetarian and gluten-free. My second question comes from Griselda M. And it's kind of a lengthy question, so I'm just going to try to sum it up and then get to the question part for y'all. But basically, Griselda is dealing with an annoying neighbor during quarantine, which I'm sure a lot of us are going through that. And Griselda is asking essentially if she should say something. She's afraid of coming across as a lame, passive-aggressive neighbor that leaves a note, and she's wondering if she should just wear noise-canceling headphones and call it a day. But I would like to tell you, Griselda, no, you shouldn't let fear of coming across as like lame or passive-aggressive stopping you from setting a boundary. And I say this to you as a person who also struggles with setting boundaries, and as a person who also at times feels like I don't want to upset people. So sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I don't want to tell them that thing is bothering me. But if something's upsetting you, especially in your home right now, you should definitely say something. But another good thing to remember is that you don't have control over your neighbor. And unfortunately, everybody's just kind of going through this any way that they can. So I would say leave a note, or maybe if you run into them, just mention like, hey, not trying to be the nosy neighbor, but I'm hearing a lot of noise up there. Maybe you could keep it down. I don't know. There's got to be a way to go about this without starting any issues. But I would just tell you to definitely advocate for yourself. And I tell you that as a reminder to myself as well, because it's difficult for me sometimes to stand up to people because I struggle with what you're talking about, feeling like you might be thought of as lame or passive aggressive. But I will tell you, it does not make you lame or passive aggressive to set a boundary. So good luck to you with that. My last question comes from Jerry G. And Jerry says, we all know social media is toxic, especially now. How are you staying away from social media, and how do you combat staring at a phone or a computer all day? Which, of course, leads us perfectly into the topic for today. And I was kind of already talking about this at the top of the show. But, I don't have a great answer for that. My relationship with social media is complicated. Part of my job is being on social media. Part of my job is to promote Best Coast. It's to promote our new album. It's to promote things. And so, for me, sometimes it's like, it's hard because I oftentimes feel like, well, this is part of my job and I need to do my job, but I also need to stay sane. So a perfect example for what I tend to do is like last week, where I sort of just decided that I needed to take a step back and I needed to not promote anything. I needed to not really use social media to engage. I changed sort of my perception in the way that I saw it, and I just used it for fun. Like, I just got on Instagram and like sent silly memes to my friends, or like watched cooking videos or animal videos and things like that. And it kind of changed my perception of like what it means to use social media. I am always very honest with you guys about my thoughts and my feelings. And, I'm just like you. I struggle with things like, if I post something and it doesn't get a lot of likes, or even doing this radio show, if I do this radio show and there's not a ton of listeners, it can tend to make me feel like what I'm doing isn't great, or it isn't valid, or nobody cares. But in reality, it's like, my friend Yossi says this to me a lot, and my therapist says this to me a lot as well. And it's something that I need to remember. Like, when you put pressure on yourself, it sucks the joy out of stuff. So if you're using social media just for fun, and you kind of approach it with that sort of thought process, I think it makes it easier for you. So that's kind of like the way that I had to like rearrange it for myself, was to sort of say like, okay, try to use social media this week for fun and just to stay engaged with like your close friends and stuff like that. As far as Twitter goes, I struggle with Twitter because it's like essentially a news source at this point. So it's like every time I go on, I just see things that can throw me from being in an okay mood to, feeling overwhelmed. So with Twitter, I try to like follow less accounts that might be upsetting, and to follow kind of like funnier, fun accounts. And then, the staring at the computer all day, or the phone, I don't know, man, I'm with you. It can be hard, especially right now. It's like, social media is a connection for us to the outside world. And so I think, like I suggested, just sort of pivoting your thought process to why you're using social media during this time might be helpful for you. Also, Instagram has a function where you can add sort of like, not a time limit, like it won't kick you off, but it'll tell you like you've been using Instagram for X amount of time. I have mine set to 1 hour for a day, but let me just tell you, I go over pretty much every day. But it's helpful to see that, to like see, okay, I've been on Instagram for an hour today, and just to sort of like put that in my head and be like, okay, maybe try to do better tomorrow. But again, we're all just doing our best. So don't get down on yourself if you're using social media too much. But if it does start to sort of make you feel a little freaky, try to take a step away. All right. So before I call up our guest for today, I'm going to give you like a little brief intro to who she is and why I'm excited to have her on. Her name is Alexis Krauss, and she is the singer of the band Sleigh Bells. She's also a friend of mine, and an amazing woman who just does such incredible things for the environment. If you follow her on Instagram at Alexis Krauss, she's constantly out hiking. She's always like doing these wonderful things. She rock climbs. She teaches girls how to rock climb. She like has a beauty blog called Beauty Lies Truth, where she talks about sustainable beauty products. Her and I went to Ghana together a couple years ago to do a documentary for Vice about shea butter and fair trade. And she's just an all-around amazing person. And actually somebody who, when I look at her Instagram and the way that she uses social media, I feel inspired by it, because it seems like Alexis just posts what she likes and what makes her happy and things that she chooses to promote. So if you don't follow Alexis on Instagram, you should, because her Instagram is filled with crazy rock climbing, delicious vegan food, and her cute dog. So I'm going to call her up here and we're going to have a little chat. If you guys have any questions for Alexis and I am seeing your comments here. But if I don't get to those questions, I apologize. Somebody is saying, sorry, before I call her, someone says, what was the name of the movie again? The movie is called Only You. It's starring Marissa Tomei and Robert Downey Jr. Someone said, everyone is comparing their home-baked breads these days on social media. It's true. I'm even telling you, sometimes I see people baking bread. I'm like, am I not baking enough bread? But the reality is I don't eat real bread. I only eat gluten-free bread. So, I mean, maybe I could make gluten-free bread, but I don't know. Anyway, don't compare your breads. Just make your bread for the joy of it. Okay, I'm going to call Alexis now. 1 second. Hi, friend.
Hi.
How are you?
I am doing pretty well. I was just listening, and then I was like, oh, I
Aw.
gotta stop listening. So thank you for all the kind words.
Oh,
And
you're welcome.
yeah,
How are
I
you?
gotta
What?
tell you,
What? What?
I'm good. I'm wearing normal pants today, but
You
they're
are?
currently yeah, but they're currently like unbuttoned and unzipped because I'm sitting on the couch, and I was like, oh, I should change into sweatpants before the show. Um, but I'm gonna wear my normal pants, but it's not going too well. So
I mean, listen, whatever gets you through the day, whether they're real pants, whether they're unbuttoned pants, whether, whatever it is. It's like you and I were texting yesterday and I was telling you so for anybody listening, I was texting with Alexis yesterday and she was like, is this on camera? And I was like, no, it's just audio only because I'm like, and then I told you like anything that involves me being on camera right now is so stressful because then I have to get dressed for it.
yes, or a lot of the things that involve being on camera can be for like from the waist up, and like
Yes.
that's been like, oh, I only have to worry about the top half of my body.
Yes, yes,
But anyway,
yes. Whenever I'm in like a work-related meeting, it's totally like sweatpants on bottom and then like a nice sweater on top. But anyway,
exactly.
um, so thank you for coming on here and hanging out with me. I literally as you heard, I was talking about how you are somebody that I see on social media, like using it in a way where it just looks like you're just having fun. And I'm just always like, well, first of all, you just always look like you're having fun because you're just like scaling crazy mountains and like going on crazy trips with your dog. And I'm always like, God, Alexis is just like, you're the best. So I'm just curious, like, what's your relationship to social media, especially right now? Like, are you feeling any pressure? Like, what's going on with you?
Yeah, it was interesting when you told me the topic was social media because I definitely have a very tumultuous, turbulent relationship with social media. I feel like as an artist, as a musician, there's definitely a pressure to engage with it, and I do genuinely enjoy it at times. Like I really enjoy spreading messages about things that I care about
Mm-hmm.
and about the cool shit that my friends are doing or other organizations are doing. And I think social media is such an effective tool for activism and for change, whether it's with regards to the environment or politics or whatever it is. So I really enjoy it for that. And I found actually during this quarantine period, because we are so reliant on social media to keep us connected, that I'm actually in a way enjoying it more because I feel like it's more focused for me. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, this is a thing that's happening in my community or my friends doing this, and it's like we can kind of focus and channel our energies that way.
Yeah.
I definitely, like, I know you and I were messaging back and forth, like I've gone down the rabbit hole a few times where I found myself like laying in bed looking at things other people are doing,
Mm-hmm.
comparing myself, feeling that unhealthy pressure come on of just like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing enough. Why don't I feel creative? Why don't I feel productive? And when I kind of tunnel into that, I just get dark. I get really
Yeah.
dark. And so I've been trying to find that balance of like, okay, how can I use this as a way to help other people feel empowered or communicate my vulnerabilities,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of create this like collective solidarity,
Yeah.
but also just like, I can't, I'm guilty of doing it all the time, but I've been telling myself like, you can't look at Instagram before bed.
Yes.
You like, so, just trying to set boundaries. But I also feel like I don't know, like I just, I feel this pressure to be like better at social media, whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah.
Um, and and by better, I feel like that just means engaging with it more often, which is also something I want to do less of.
Totally.
Um, so yeah, it's definitely a dilemma, and it's not something that like I feel like as a 34-year-old woman I should be thinking this much about, but I think
Yeah.
about it a lot.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm with you. It's like, and that's why it was so refreshing. Like when I was texting with you like last week or whenever that was, because it's like, I think right now, and this is something I've been talking a lot about on this show, I think a common sort of anxiety that it seems that people are feeling currently is, and not even just us as like musicians, it seems like it's just a lot of people feel like this is meant to be some sort of period where we're like writing the next great American novel or doing some really intense thing. And it's like the reality of the situation is like, this isn't, I keep saying this, it's like, it's not a creative retreat. It's not some sort of like writing workshop, you know? So it's like that
Exactly.
pressure is, it's there, but it's also like so nice to connect with other people that feel it, because I tend to oftentimes like fall into the, like you were saying, like the rabbit hole of like, oh, I'm the only person that feels this way and everybody else feels fine. And I think sometimes if used incorrectly, social media can sort of like project that feeling at you, you know? So I'm with you though. Like I literally,
Absolutely.
I'm on social media, like I'm the worst. Like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, so I wonder what's going on Instagram. And then I feel like shit. And then I'm like, Bethany, you know that if you do this, it's gonna make you not feel good. You know,
Exactly. But
so
it's that, I mean, it's that chemical, like it's a chemical addiction in the ways that other substances are. Like I've had this conversation
totally.
with like younger people in my family and my little cousins, and like that need for whatever it is, that whatever chemicals are going off in our brain where we feel one validated because we get likes or we get messages, or people seem to be really responding to this post or that post,
Yeah.
or it's that desire to constantly compare and compete and to see like how we all kind of line up against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, and I think for really young people especially, it's so hard when you're gauging your self-worth through social media constantly. Like I feel like I at least have a little bit of perspective on it because
Hmm.
I knew a time where I didn't value myself through social media.
Yeah.
But then I also wonder, it's like, well, if you just grew up with it and it's ubiquitous, like it's probably easier because that's all you know in a way. Um,
Totally.
but
Totally.
yeah, it's a real challenge. And I also I was like when you posted that thing the other day about the asshole that was like, your music is better when you're
Oh
drinking.
God, yeah.
Like, like stuff like that. I was like, and this is what's always been a challenge for me, is like, because people will often just act with impunity. Like, there's
Yeah,
this like, oh, I can just say whatever. But yet, if you were having that same conversation sitting across from somebody in your living room, they would never say that, or it would come out
totally.
completely differently.
Yeah,
So it's like this, like, how much do I engage? How much do I not engage?
I
Um,
know.
by the way,
It's
yeah, it's just,
yeah, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot. I think, but I do think it's like that, and I love what you said about how you feel like it is, because it's true. Like it really is such a wonderful tool, and especially right now, like it's such a good way to stay connected. And I know that you've been like playing a lot of like acoustic covers on your own, and I know you're trying to teach yourself guitar right now and that whole thing. And it's like
yeah,
just even seeing your vulnerability through that like inspires me to do my stuff, and I'm sure it inspires other people. So it's like it is this really beautiful, like wonderful platform when it's used sort of like I said kind of earlier, like when it's used correctly, but it's like also kind of like what is the correct way to do it. And I think it does sort of become like almost like a personal sort of your own personal experience with it. So you're always somebody that like when I see you on your adventures, I'm always like, it just makes me happy to see you doing you and just like sharing the stuff that clearly you enjoy doing. And
right. Well,
your
thank you.
authenticity, of course, your authenticity like shines through. And I mean, since you and I met, like you've always been somebody who I just like look at and I'm just like, I remember saying this to you when we were in Ghana. Like I was just like, how are you so I think I was just like, how are you so chill? Like how are you remember there was like the joke that you were like the angel and I was the devil on that trip? I
I
just remember texting Jen. Alexis and I share a publicist and also a friend named Jen, and we were like texting Jen, being like, "Alexis is the angel and I'm the little devil running around." But anyway,
I I think you are a beautiful angel as well. I don't
thank
know.
you.
I feel like I also like I value sort of your transparency on social media. Like I don't necessarily know that I've figured that out. Like, don't get me
Mm,
wrong, I get dark, and I've had a lot of moments of this throughout this whole quarantine that like I don't know. I just like I'm definitely not showcasing all of the ups and
of course,
downs.
of course.
And I sort of feel this like need to kind of keep a little bit of distance in
Hmm.
certain ways. But yeah, I like to I stopped like worrying too much about what I thought other people wanted to see of me
Yes.
on social media. And I just started posting things that I love to do. And like most of the time that's me in like ratty climbing gear or like playing with my dog. You know, it's like not me made up looking like I'm playing a sleigh bell show.
Yeah.
But you know, but I think like ultimately that's what I appreciate most from other people, whether it's you or any other accounts that I follow, like when you see them being their authentic selves. And
Totally.
yeah, and you know,
Totally.
and obviously like animals, like that's
Yes.
probably my greatest joy from social
It's
media is just
It's
seeing
so true.
animals.
The animal accounts are where it's at right now. I like literally feel like my entire explore page right now is literally like self-help accounts, animal accounts, and then like 90s aesthetic accounts and meme accounts. And I'm like, this is all I need off of Instagram. This is all the stuff
Right.
that I care about. This is all I need.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Do do you have a TikTok, and do we need TikToks?
Okay, so I had a guest
Keyword
on
need.
I don't have a TikTok, but I had this. I had Ariana, who is on a TV show called Vanderpump Rules. You know me; I love my reality TV.
Yep.
She is
Mhm.
like big into TikTok, and she was telling me that TikTok is actually like the most wholesome form of social media because you can basically set up like all you want to see. So you can put in certain tags like dogs or like grandmas or whatever, and it will just show you like that. But to me,
Right.
TikTok just feels really like I'm honestly like intimidated by it. Like I've downloaded it before to just see what's going on, and I'm like, how does this even work?
Right.
But I don't
I
know.
agree.
Like,
I agree
do
with
you have
you.
one?
Like, no, I don't. And it's funny because like at first I was like, oh, it's kids. Like it's like a lot of the kids I work with and
Yeah.
like my family. I was like, oh, it's kids. And then I was like, oh, it's dancing. And
Yeah.
now my mom is really into TikTok, and she's like, it's everything,
Oh.
Alexis. You can do all the things. And and now I'm like, oh no. Like, well, I was like, maybe I should start a TikTok, and it could just feature my dog. It could just feature Riz. And I'm in a way, I'm like, well, it's like really creative because you can do, but I don't know. And then I'm just like, it's one more time sink for me. Honestly, it's like
Exactly.
one more thing.
That's kind of where I'm at with it is I'm like, do I really need another thing? I don't know. Like maybe by the end of this we'll be TikTok stars. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah, yeah, it's true.
um
Well, let's.
we'll see. We shall see. But seeing that it's Earth Day and seeing that you are Alexis, the my number one most sustainable friend, I wanted to ask you if you had any like advice for people that might be listening on just like really easy ways to become more sustainable in their everyday lives, especially kind of given what's going on. Because I know right now we're having to use a lot of like wipes and grocery stores are doing plastic bags again, and there's all this stuff going on that is
Yeah.
kind of making sustainability a bit tricky. So if you have any like at home DIY like disinfectant tips or like anything like that that you would want to share with people.
Yeah, I don't have any like good DIY things right now. I feel like for me the things that I've been focusing on, like I went out and fortunately, I know California trails are closed right now, but for
Mm-hmm.
some crazy reason, New York State parks are still open. So I've been able to get out on runs, and I've noticed a lot of additional trash. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's because people who like generally would just like pick up a plastic bottle here and there, they're not picking things up because they don't want to touch things.
Totally.
Which is yeah, like same thing, totally understandable. So I was just like, you know what, I'm gonna bring some gloves and I'm gonna bring some trash bags and just spend a couple hours wandering around with my partner and my dog, and we just picked up a ton of trash.
Yeah.
Like especially doggy, like full doggy bags full of poop, and I'm just like, oh, like don't. Anyway, so if you're a dog owner, please like pick up your poop and dispose of it. But yeah, I was like, you know, this is a really cool thing, and I've seen people in my neighborhood doing it. Like if you're not too skeeved out, if you feel like you can do it safely, put on a pair of gloves, go out, pick up some trash. It makes you feel really good, and I guarantee you'll get like a lot of people smiling and thanking you. So that was just a simple thing. And then I have two friends right now who are doing a lot of work around plastic. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
I know we all know how bad plastic is. But it's so hard to break our plastic habits. But I have a friend, and she's doing like a plastic swear jar challenge where you just literally like challenge yourself every time you use a piece of single use plastic, and
Mm-hmm.
like you put $1 in a jar. And then you can like donate that to an organization that's doing work around plastic. And then
Oh,
there's
that's
also
cool.
this really, yeah, like so, or just like any system that's going to help you stay aware of how much single-use plastic you use, whether it's a wrapper or a disposable bottle or whatever it is. Yeah, and I would just say like in this time, like don't stress out too much about taking on these big sustainability challenges. Like focus
Yeah.
on the little things. Like, you know, it's just but I would say like community cleanups and just like focusing on single-use plastic is probably like the biggest thing you can do right now. I've also realized like, and this is maybe just me being weird, a lot of people, because we're doing things from our cars, I've seen a lot of people just idling, like turn your car off. If you're in your car waiting for
Yeah.
whatever it is, for like, you know, to go through a drive through, just like maybe turn your engine off.
Yeah.
So those are like three little things.
Love it. Love it. Those are all doable. Those are all doable. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately I can't, like all the trails and stuff are close here, so I've just been walking my dog around my neighborhood, but I've been noticing like a lot of like people are just throwing their like masks and gloves on the ground. It's
Ugh,
like,
I
why?
know.
Number one, it's
I
like
know.
it's not safe because there could be germs on that obviously
Yeah.
like the whole point is we're trying to stop spreading it. And second of all, it's just like,
Yep.
why do that? The other day I was walking and there were literally multiple gloves and masks thrown directly next to a trash can. And I was just like,
Right.
really? Really?
I know. I know. I have a friend who just put up flyers around his neighborhood, like, please don't throw your mask
Yeah.
and gloves on the ground.
Yeah, I know. Well, well
Yeah, but that's a big
those are all
one.
good things and hopefully people will hear that and try to put that into their daily routines. Before I let you go, I just wanted to ask you really quickly. I'm sure I mean, I know every single one of us in a band right now is being affected by this, but I know you had like you guys have your 10-year anniversary show. Yeah. It's,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
just, yeah, it's like, what do we do? What do we do?
What I know. And I don't like we do plan on announcing some things soon, so I don't want
Yeah,
to give up too
totally,
much,
totally. Of
but
course.
yeah, we're definitely just like looking towards the future,
Yeah.
looking towards the fall and the winter. And I know you've done the same thing with your tour. It's like we're all kind of fingers crossed, hoping
Yeah.
that October, November, December will be it'll definitely be a different world. I think it'll
Yes.
be a different world for venues and for fans, and obviously like making sure that fans feel safe is so important. So we'll have to navigate that together. But I
Yeah.
feel confident that like come the fall we'll be back in that space where we can like jump around and be sweaty
I
and
know.
scream each other's faces.
It's gonna be so fun. I was talking to another musician friend saying like it's just going like the way in which we engage, not just with our audiences, but just like the way in which fans and just everybody in the room is going to feel at a show after this is just going to be so
Oh my gosh.
emotional and like powerful and cool. And I'm just like, I feel like that's sort of the light at the end of the tunnel for me as I keep thinking about like when it can finally happen, whenever that is for Sleigh Bells, for Best Coast, like for every band out there, it's just going to be such a different, like, cool thing. So I look forward to it. I'm sure you're looking forward to it. I'm sure there's someone in here saying, I will be there whenever it is rescheduled. Treats
Yeah.
forever
Yeah,
is what
no,
they're
seriously.
saying.
And I
So,
agree with you. It's like, and maybe that's the lesson we take from this among many lessons is just like, gosh, like appreciate those moments and those
yeah.
things that we've just taken for granted our entire lives and like to be in a room together and to get to share a live show or whatever it is. Yeah, I can't wait. And I was so excited to see you guys in the city. I have to say, like, Wreckage has been like such a jam for
Aw,
me lately.
thanks. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm just like so proud of what you've done and created, and
Thank
it's such a great
you.
album.
Thank
And
you,
yeah,
Alexis.
so
Well,
of course.
I'll see you on the other side, baby.
But yeah, all right. Be safe. Love
Thank
you,
you.
Derek. Bye
Love
bye.
you. Thank you so much for doing this. I'll talk to you soon. Hi, Derek.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Alexis, the best. All right. Thank you, Alexis, for joining me, and thank you guys for for listening to our little convo. Okay, so the time has now come for me to open up the call line. I'm going to open it up, and then I'll take calls we'll take calls until about 4:50, and then we're going to wrap it up. So just remember, whatever device you're listening to the show on, to please mute it if your call gets answered. Otherwise, it will get feedbacky and distorted and crazy sounding. So I'll open the line, and just a reminder, the topic for today is social media. So let's try and keep the convo to that. But if there's something that's like a burning desire that you have to ask, go for it. All right, opening it up. Fan line is now open. You can call me at 205-736-3201. And let's talk social media. Let's talk. I don't know if you guys saw, but a fan drew a really awesome photo for this week, or just for Bethline in general, that is me as Frasier. As you guys know, I love Frasier, and I love to pretend that this show is my version of Frasier. So I'm listening, as Frasier would say. And for those of you that are too young to understand a Frasier reference, it's available on Netflix, and it's the best show. It's truly so funny. So that might be a good show for you to watch during quarantine. All right, fan line is open. If anyone feels like calling, I'm going to take a big sip of water while I wait. All right, we have a caller. Roz, who's our next caller? Good one. Hi, this is Bethany. You're on Bethline. What's up?
Oh, wow. Okay. I was not expecting to get an answer. Okay.
Hi. What's
My
your
name is Taylor.
Hi, Taylor.
It's Taylor. Taylor with an E, so I guess I'm like a little unique.
Okay. Love an E name. Love an E name.
So I missed the first part of this because I
Okay.
was working. But what I was going to ask is still related to social media, but I just don't know if it's what you were even referring to.
That's fine. Ask away.
So this is a little weird to say, but I know that you did a lot of therapy over the last couple of years, which I also started kind of doing around the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And so while I've like learned to really start limiting what I'm looking at on social media, especially right now, your post with, I think it's a dry cleaner place, you would put up all of these like messages on there, and
yes.
Yeah, and every time, I think it was like on your way to therapy or something.
Yes.
I don't know, but I liked a lot of those messages. And while you were going through a lot of that stuff was at the same time that I was like having all these moments in therapy and like making all these changes. And it was just really cool to like have someone on social media that like it was almost like I was tracking my journey, and like seeing someone else kind of go through some similar progress was like really, really encouraging for me.
Thank you.
And now, of course,
that's so sweet. Thank you so much.
So I'm so glad that I got to tell you that, because I never really thought that like I'd get the opportunity to like let you know that. But I was wondering if there was anybody like that on social media that like maybe you were like looking up to while you were going through your stuff.
Oh, that's a cool question. First of all, shout out to Milton Edie's. I just want you to understand that that's a dry cleaner that's in the Valley, and it was near my old therapist's office. And so every week when I would drive to therapy, I was like so excited to see what that sign said, and it was like always the best message. And the sign still lives on. I just don't go to that therapist anymore. But yeah, shout out Milton Edie's. First of all, before I even answer that question, like I just said, that's so sweet of you to say, and that really makes me feel like wonderful to hear. I am like, I struggle with a lot of insecurity stuff, so sometimes I'm always like, am I sharing too much? Does no one care? Blah blah blah. So it's nice to know that me being vocal about my journey has been inspirational to anybody at all. So thank you for saying that. For me, I can't say that there was anyone like really in particular, but I think for me, it's just like, over the last few years, I feel like I've seen a lot of people, especially a lot of entertainers, a lot of celebrities, people with platforms, just become very open and honest with their journey in therapy, or just their journey in like growth and like work that they've done on themselves. I mean, Hayley Williams is a perfect example. Hayley and I have been friends for a long time, and she's just gone through so much over the last few years, and seeing the way that she even just talks about her own sort of like recovery with her mental stuff is like, it is very inspiring for me to see. So I would say just sort of like as a whole, just sort of seeing the way that people use social media now to just be very open and honest about their struggles has been very inspiring for me to see.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I'm so glad that, because I feel like now there's so many accounts that I follow that are just constantly sharing things where I'm like, okay, this is something I have addressed in therapy. I'm into it. I'm going to share it. I really hope that everyone looks at this and goes to therapy.
Yeah, same. I'm with you. I wish everyone would go to therapy. I wish it was accessible for everyone to go to therapy, but I'm really happy for you and your journey, and thank you for calling in, and it was nice to talk to you.
Yeah, it was really awesome to talk to you. I was definitely not expecting to get an answer. So
well,
this was really cool.
You got the golden ticket, sister.
Okay, cool.
All right, take care.
All righty, you as well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, that was so sweet. Okay, next caller. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, this is Bethany.
Hi
What's
there.
up?
I was not expecting to have my phone call answered. If there's like a lag between the live stream and anyways. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you? What's your name?
Hi, I'm Himani. I'm calling from San Jose, California.
What's up, San Jose? What's your question for me?
What's up? This is not social media related. I'm gonna ramble for a little bit.
Okay.
If that's okay. I saw you guys in San Francisco right before like all of this stuff went down, and that was like the last like shred of normalcy that I have. So I just wanted to say thank you. It was such an amazing show. I've been listening to you since I was like I don't even know how old, and I feel like between Best Coast and like Paramore, you guys are the two bands that I feel like I've like constantly like grown with and like looked up to. So I wanted to say thank you, first of all.
Aw, thank you.
And thank you. And then my question, with Always Tomorrow, I feel like what I'm going through in my life right now, I relate to it very heavily. And I obviously don't know exactly what you were going through when you were writing it, but I just wanted to know, like, in terms of like moving on from like someone or something toxic or like unhealthy, like how do you go about doing that? Because I am having the hardest time, and when I listen to Always Tomorrow, I'm like, Bethany knows. And it kind of goes back to the person from 2 weeks ago when they like wrote down on a piece of paper, like, if Haley and Bethany can do it, I can too. So I kind of feel like I'm like
Sophie Joe.
I'm like on that. yeah. So I just don't know like how to like go about like moving on or like breaking a toxic cycle. So do you have any like advice for that?
Well, kind of the call I just had, like therapy has been a huge tool for me in terms of like dealing with a lot of stuff in my life and sort of learning what those toxic patterns even were, because I think for such a long time I was living in denial of a lot of stuff. And the one piece of advice that I would really give you is just to like, there's no like how can I phrase this? It's like there's no like time period in which you just like, because I think a lot of times what happens to humans, and this happened to me very, very often, it still happens to me sometimes, like we think that we're supposed to like be over something in a certain amount of time. There seems like there's this time frame that our brains invent, like, okay, I have to be over this thing in 1 month or 1 year or whatever. And the reality is that it's like life is just ever evolving, and like things just come up and they go away and they come back, and it's just kind of like the road to recovery like isn't a linear road. It's like you're always going to have setbacks and times where you move forward and then you move back. So just really like try as hard as you can to be easy on yourself with realizing that like you working and having a hard time right now, there's a reason for that. Like, I know it sucks to hear like there's a lesson to be learned through pain, but that is realistically like the truest thing that anybody ever told me was like, your pain is your biggest teacher. So whatever it is whatever it is that you're going through right now, like, I know it sucks probably, but like, just know that as much as when you just continue to like push forward and let yourself just operate on whatever timeline this whole recovery thing is going to be for you, like that's when you'll start to see results, as soon as you just kind of like let it go. So it's kind of like a, it's not like a direct answer, like go to this place, this will cure you. Cause it's really like
Yeah.
nothing's really going to cure you. You really like, that's why therapy is so amazing. It's because it's like, you honestly teach yourself the lessons. Your
Right.
therapist just sits there to kind of guide you through it and ask questions. Like you're the one that really does the work. So I would really just say to like be easy on yourself and just let yourself kind of like navigate this however it's going to transpire for you. And I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much.
You're
I appreciate your
welcome.
time.
Thank
And
you.
thank you for doing this whole Frasier, like
Totally.
one of my favorite shows ever. Like you truly are the Frasier of indie punk. I love
Oh
it so
my
much.
God,
Thank you.
thanks. That's the best. Thank you. All right, have a nice day.
You as well. Take
Okay,
care.
bye. Okay, next caller. Hello?
Oh, hello.
Hi, who's this?
Hi, this is Izzy.
Hi, how are you? Where are you?
Hi, I'm good. I'm in Chicago, Illinois.
Shout out Chicago. How's it going? What's your question?
It's great. I love Chicago. Well, my question is, with the quarantine, like you see, like some people really posting, like them really like doing lots of awesome creative things, like really going for it, going running. And it's like really hard when you have kind of a lack of motivation. So I guess like, how do you maintain that motivation when you see all these other people doing amazing things and you just don't feel that yourself?
Well, that is such a good question. And that's literally why I took last week off from this show, because I was just feeling like, it's really hard right now because we are all sort of existing. Our main connection to the outside world currently is sort of through social media. And so it's like when you see all these people doing stuff like, whether it's an artist doing a live stream or your friend is cooking some crazy meal or somebody else is like working on some crazy painting. And it's so easy to look at that and be like, well, I'm doing this wrong because I'm not doing what they're doing. But truly the smartest thing I've heard this whole time is like, there's no wrong way to do this. It's like the only wrong way to do this is by not abiding to what's being asked of us by like staying inside and slowing the curve. It's like, if you don't feel productive, that's totally okay. Like you're allowed to stay in sweatpants all day if you choose to. You're allowed to like, take a break from a project that you're working on if you have the opportunity to. Like, it's kind of what I was saying to the caller before this. It's like, you just have to be easy on yourself. And I say that to you, like needing to hear it myself as well, because I have such a tendency to like come down on myself and be like, you're not playing in live shows and you're not, or live streams, and you're not doing these things and these things. But in reality, it's like, I'm just doing what I can. And if you feel like all you can do in one day is like whatever work you need to do and maybe like brush your teeth or wash your face, like that's fine. This isn't like meant to be some really productive period in our lives. We had no idea that this was going to happen. So how could we prepare for it? So I would just say like, take care of yourself, like drink lots of water and just try to like stay connected with your friends. And if you feel like sad or if you feel unmotivated, just call somebody. That's what I do, is I usually just like call a friend or text a friend or just try to stay connected with people. It gets me out of my head. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, that's super helpful. I mean, especially like the calling a friend kind of advice, like especially like running and stuff, like I definitely feel a lot more motivated when I like go work out with someone, but like that's super hard to do like when we can't go to the gym and everything. So yeah, for sure. Like that's super helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. You can call me too. Call me on Wednesdays and we can talk.
For sure, let's go.
All right, take care. Nice talking to you.
Nice talking to you too.
Right. Bye. Oh, what did I do there? Oh, okay, sorry. Oh yeah, Yasi, my friend, my sweet friend Yasi, is saying do a Zoom class with your friend, Sweat Spot. It's true. Ryan Heffington does a workout class Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Sundays. And it's a live Instagram dance class. I've talked about it on the show before. It's literally my favorite thing in the world. It's so much fun. Go to his Instagram, Ryan Heffington, and he does it on those days. Okay, one more call, and then I'm going to wrap things up. Hi, this is Bethany. You're on the line.
Hey, Becky. What's going on? How you doing today?
Hi, I'm doing well. How are you?
All right. Hey, I just called to let you know that we care, and just to let you know that there's people out there that care about you.
Oh, thank
As
you.
you know, there's people that were talking to you on the phone earlier, and they'll be talking to you later. So, just want to let you know there's people out there that care.
Oh, that's very
Anyway,
sweet
that's
of
all I
you.
got to say.
Okay.
Hey, is Roz there, by the way, or?
No,
I'm
and
just kidding.
Roz is not here. I wish.
Yeah, okay. Hey, you take care.
Thanks, you too.
All right, take care. Bye.
Bye. Oh, that was so nice. Wow. You guys, this show is the best. I really need to get out of my freaking head and just remember that this show is the best. All right. Well, it doesn't look like I have any other callers, so I'm going to close the line and then wrap this episode up. The fan line is now closed. Thank you guys so much for calling in for your questions. Thank you so much to Alexis Krauss for being my guest and for talking to me about social media, for giving her sustainability tips on things that we can do during this time and ways we can help our Mother Earth. Yeah, just to sort of like recap what we talked about today, social media. If anybody that's listening is struggling and feeling, like your productivity is based off of the content that you're creating right now, just here to remind you it's not. Also here to remind myself that it's not. So just be easy on yourself. To all the people that called in and asked questions about, growth work and therapy and all this stuff, just remember that, like I said, recovery isn't linear and growth isn't linear, and you can take massive steps forward and then take massive steps back. It's just life. It's how it works. And the cool thing about what's going on right now, while we are sort of all distanced from each other, I do feel like humans are connecting in really cool ways right now. I mean, even doing this show, like I wouldn't have this show if I wasn't quarantined alone in my house all the time. So it's nice that I get to that I get to connect with people and that I get to talk to you guys and answer your questions, and you help me. So just know that every week when I do this, regardless of my anxieties about it, regardless of my feelings of nobody cares, nobody's listening, like I really need you guys as much as you need me. So thank you for being there for me as well. All right. Before I wrap this thing up, the last few weeks I've ended this show with a reading from a book that's been really important for me in my own self-help, mental health, growth, my whole thing. It's been really important for me in my journey, and it's a book called The Language of Letting Go, Daily Meditations on Codependency. It's written by Melody Beattie. They're just daily devotions and sort of little pages about, I don't know. It's a wonderful book. And it seems like every week when I read from it, it always seems to make sense for the topic of the show. And it also always seems like it helps people. So I want to read today's reading. It's called Coping with Stress. And I think it will be helpful for you and also me. All right. Coping with stress. Inevitably, there are times of stress in our lives, no matter how long we've been in recovery. Just a heads up, this book is about codependency recovery, but if you're not a person in recovery, you're still good. It's just basically, talking about like no matter how long we've been alive, essentially, because we're all striving to grow. Anyway, that's my little ramble. So I'll start over. Coping with stress. Inevitably, there are times of stress in our lives, no matter how long we've been in recovery. Sometimes the stress is outside or around us. We're feeling balanced, but our circumstances are stressful. Sometimes the stress is within. We feel out of balance. When the stress is external and internal, we experience our most difficult times. During stressful times, we can rely more heavily on our support systems. Our friends and groups can help us feel more balanced and peaceful in spite of our stressful conditions. Affirming that the events taking place are a temporarily uncomfortable part of a good, solid plan can help. We can assure ourselves that we will get through. We won't be destroyed. We won't crumple or go under. It helps to go back to the basics, to focus on detachment, dealing with feelings, and taking life one day at a time. Our most important focus during times of stress is taking care of ourselves. We are better able to cope with the most irregular circumstances. We are better able to be there for others if we're caring for ourselves. We can ask ourselves regularly, what do we need to do to take care of ourselves? What might help us feel better or more comfortable? Self-care may not come as easily during times of stress. Self-neglect may feel more comfortable, but taking care of ourselves always works. Today, I will remember that there is no situation that can't be benefited by taking care of myself. And that, my friends, is really, truly what we all need to hear right now. I mean, geez, it really just sums it up. You know, it's so true. Like, our most important focus during times of stress is taking care of ourselves. That really is what it is. You know, it's like, and that can really be applied to the social media thing. You know, if you feel like it's easy to just sit in front of your phone or your computer all day long and stare at social media right now because it's a stressful time, it might not actually be helping you. It might actually be hurting you. It might be harming you. It might be making you feel anxious and anxietal. So, yeah, anyway, I'm not a doctor. I just play one on the radio. That's going to be my new tagline. Anyway, thank you guys so much. I love you. It was so nice to hang with you for an hour. Thanks again to Alexis from Sleigh Bells for joining me. And thanks to all you listeners. And I will see you next week with a new guest, a new topic, new questions, new answers. Please email me at askbethline@gmail.com if you have questions for next week's quick cues. And I will see you then. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.